Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really hot topic in health right now. These new weight loss medications. Ozempic, Rybelsus, Wegovy, names you're probably hearing everywhere.
Absolutely. And you're listening because you want to get up to speed, understand what's really going on, but maybe without wading through super dense medical jargon.
Exactly. You want to make it clear, make it understandable.
So we've been looking at a really useful article. It's from Tu Canal de Salud.
Okay.
And it features insights from Dr. Eva Blasquez-Lotra. She's a specialist in endocrinology and nutrition.
Ah, right. So an expert perspective.
Definitely. It gives us a good framework for understanding these drugs and, why they're making such waves.
Okay, great. So let's unpack it. Our mission today really is to get clear on what these things are, how they actually work.
Yeah, the mechanism.
The benefits people are seeing, the real benefits, and also, importantly, what you need to consider, the cautions.
For sure. And the article, it starts by setting the stage, which I think is crucial. It talks about obesity itself.
Right. The context.
Exactly. You kind of need to understand the problem to see why these drugs are seen as such a big step.
Okay. So, yeah, the article highlights obesity as this growing public health issue. The numbers are pretty sobering, like currently affecting maybe 2 out of 10 people.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah.
And the projection, looking ahead to, say, 2035, it could be closer to 3 out of 10.
Wow. That's a huge jump.
It really is. And Dr. Blasquez-Lotra, she's quite clear. She describes obesity not just as, being overweight, but as a chronic disease.
A chronic disease.
Yeah. And one that she says is threatening to become a global pandemic, basically, a serious health threat.
And it ties back to how we live now, doesn't it?
It does. The article points to things like, more sedentary lifestyles, jobs where we sit all day, and food.
And just the sheer availability of high-calorie food, especially in, developed countries, is fueling the fire.
And it's not just about weight, is it? The article links it to other health problems.
Oh, definitely. Big links to cardiovascular issues, heart problems.
Right.
Joint problems like arthrosis, and just general inflammation throughout the body.
So the message from Dr. Blasquez-Lotra is really treat this seriously, medically. It's not just appearance.
Precisely. And there's an emotional side, too, which the article touches on.
Yeah.
Just the frustration, People try diet, exercise again and again, and maybe don't see lasting results. It can be really discouraging.
Absolutely. Which, I guess, helps explain some of the excitement, the hope around these new medications.
Exactly. It provides context for why Ozempic, Rybelsus, Wegovy, why they're getting so much attention.
Okay, so let's talk about them directly. These are the big names right now.
They are. Ozempic, Rybelsus, Wegovy. Those are the main commercial names you'll hear for these newer anti-obesity drugs.
And interestingly, they weren't always just for obesity, right? Didn't they start with diabetes?
That's a key point Dr. Blasquez-Lotra makes. They were initially used, in patients who had both type 2 diabetes and obesity.
But they turned out to be really effective for obesity treatment on its own, even without the diabetes component.
So their use has broadened.
Considerably. Their effectiveness kind of opened the door to wider weight management applications.
So how do they actually work? It's not like they just magically melt fat away, right? There's a mechanism.
Right, no magic involved. They primarily work on the brain, specifically the satiety center.
Satiety. So feeling full.
Exactly. Think of it like this. Your body has natural signals that say, hey, I've had enough. These drugs, they help amplify those signals.
Okay.
They make that I'm full message louder and clearer in your brain, impacting those central nervous networks that control appetite, so you feel satisfied with less food.
And maybe reduces the urge to snack or overeat later?
That seems to be a major part of it, yes, reducing that constant drive to eat.
Now, the article mentioned semaglutide. That's the key ingredient in Ozempic and Rybelsus.
Correct. Semaglutide is the active principle, the main workhorse molecule in those two.
And what's its job, specifically?
Its main functions are to decrease your appetite and, at the same time, increase that feeling of fullness, that satiety we talked about.
So kind of a double whammy on hunger?
Pretty much. And that combination makes it, theoretically easier for people to stick to a healthier eating plan and maybe get more exercise in.
The article had this interesting little visual description, trying to paint a picture of how it works with something called the GLP-1 receptor.
Right. It's trying to explain the biology without getting too technical. GLP-1 is a hormone our bodies naturally produce.
Okay.
It helps regulate appetite and blood sugar after we eat. Semaglutide essentially mimics GLP-1.
So it acts like our natural hormone.
Yeah, it binds to the same receptors, those GLP-1 receptors, and sort of turns on those I'm full signals more strongly and for longer than our natural GLP-1 might. It activates that pathway.
Got it. Now, what about Wegovy? It's mentioned separately. Also semaglutide, but different.
Yes, good point. Wegovy also contains semaglutide, but the key difference, as Dr. Blasquez-Lotra points out, is that it's formulated to allow for higher doses.
Higher doses. Why does that matter?
Well, potentially more impact. Up to 2.4 milligrams, the article says. This higher dosage capability means Wegovy might be even more effective for some people.
More bang for your buck, potentially, in terms of weight loss.
Kind of. It's the same mechanism, just potentially amplified, which could lead to more significant results for certain patients who need that extra push.
Okay, that makes sense. But with any medication, especially newer ones, people worry about side effects. What does the article say there?
Yeah, that's always a concern. The good news, according to Dr. Blasquez-Lotra, is that the treatment is generally reported as being well tolerated.
Well tolerated, okay. But generally implies some people do experience side effects.
Yes, of course. But they're usually described as mild to moderate, nothing too severe for most people.
And what kind of side effects are we talking about?
Primarily gastrointestinal stuff,
Okay.
things like feeling a bit nauseous, maybe some digestive upset, changes in bowel habits, that sort of thing.
Okay, manageable stuff.
Often, yes. The article notes that these side effects can frequently be managed, maybe by adjusting the dose, working with your doctor on that, or sometimes by making small changes to your diet.
So it sounds like for many, the potential benefits might outweigh those kinds of side effects, especially given the results people are seeing.
That seems to be the calculation many are making, yes. And the results are pretty striking compared to older methods.
How striking. The article gives numbers, right?
It does. Dr. Blasquez-Lotra highlights this. Before these kinds of drugs, achieving maybe 10% body weight loss through lifestyle and older meds was considered pretty good.
10%, okay.
With these newer medications, like semaglutide, studies are showing weight loss that can exceed 23%.
Wow, more than double. That's a huge difference.
It's a really significant leap forward in effectiveness, a real step change, as you said.
The article even compares it a bit to bariatric surgery.
Right, which is often seen as the most effective weight loss intervention, typically achieving around 30% weight loss.
So these drugs aren't quite that effective, but they're closing the gap.
Exactly. They're bringing non-surgical results much closer to surgical levels than we've seen before. It provides a powerful, less invasive option.
Which is a big deal. Now, Dr. Blasquez-Lotra also really stresses something towards the end. The need for personalized treatment and empathy.
Yes, that's a crucial takeaway. Because obesity is complex, right? It's not one size fits all.
Right. Everyone's different.
How well a drug works, what side effects someone gets, what dose is right, it all varies. So the treatment plan has to be tailored to the individual.
And supervised by a doctor. This isn't something you just order online.
Absolutely not. Close medical supervision is non-negotiable. It's essential for safety and effectiveness. You need that professional guidance.
It sounds like overall, Dr. Blasquez-Lotra is pretty positive about where things are heading.
She seems quite optimistic, yeah. She suggests this might actually be the best time, maybe ever, for treating obesity because we have these new, more effective tools.
Offering hope, perhaps, for people who've really struggled before.
That's definitely the sense you get. A new avenue for those who haven't found success with other methods.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. The key takeaways seem to be these new medications, Ozempic, Rybelsus, Wegovy, they represent a major advance.
A big step.
They work by targeting those hunger and fullness signals in the brain.
Right, the satiety center.
Leading to potentially significant weight loss, much more than we used to see.
Over 23% in some cases compared to maybe 10% before.
And it reinforces the idea, the crucial point, that obesity is a chronic medical condition.
Exactly. It needs proper medical attention, not just willpower, as Dr. Blasquez-Lotra emphasizes.
But, and this is a big but, while they show huge promise, they absolutely require personalized treatment and close medical supervision. They're serious medications.
Couldn't agree more. It's not a casual decision.
Definitely not.
Which, brings us to a final thought. Something for you, the listener, to maybe ponder.
Okay.
Thinking about all this. These powerful tools becoming more common. What are the wider implications for society?
Like how?
Well, how might widespread use of really effective weight loss drugs change how we think about health, or personal responsibility, or even how we manage other chronic conditions down the line?
That's a really interesting question. Definitely gives you something to think about.
Food for thought, as they say.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Well, thanks for taking this deep dive with us today. Really fascinating stuff.
my pleasure. Until next time.